All right, we are live. I've got an amazing guy with me today. I'm pretty excited. A lot of times we have local agents or big agents on, and Tristan certainly is an amazing realtor. But one of the things that I think he adds so much value in when it comes to real estate is he is the CEO of Lab Coat Agents. It's a phenomenal business. They've got a great group on Facebook. It is so helpful to so many people, including myself. So today I'm excited to have you on, Tristan. I appreciate it, my friend.
Dude, I'm happy to be on. Dude, you do so much that when you asked me to be on, I was like, of course, no questions asked. You're a pro. So thank you.
Well, that's incredibly kind. I appreciate it. I was actually talking with a couple really good friends of mine, agents in the business, and I brought your name up, and I was excited you were coming on. And they all kind of had the same vibe when it came to your name, and I thought it was really interesting. They said, that's the guy who knows everything about all of the systems in real estate. And I said, that's interesting. That's an interesting way that he's branded himself.
That's
so
interesting.
I did think that was interesting, and I see that. And when I think about lab coats, and I'm telling you this because I'd love to hear what my perception is versus reality, you know, with the purpose of lab coats. But when I look at lab coat agents, I think these are the guys who are trying all of the things we all talk about, all the things we want to do, the systems, the lead gen, the checklist, whatever it is, right? ISAs, and then they report back to us and tell us what works and doesn't work. Tell me, how close is that to what your focus is?
That is really close, man. And it all happened by accident because I started the group as a place where I could talk about online lead conversion.
Yeah.
And I had a whole bunch of tech that helped me convert at a high level, 2012. And it just happened. It's like, hey, what are you using? What is this piece over here? And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I have to dive deeper into it.
Yes.
So it happened by accident. And that's why people are like, well, how many CRMs do you actually have? I'm like, I've got too many, but I need them because we're always testing things out.
So. Which is awesome. That is awesome. And I'll tell you, you've got an amazing group. If you guys don't know what this group is, it's Lab Coat Agents. If you're anything in real estate, I don't care if you're in title, if you're an inspector, if you're a realtor, you should absolutely be in that group. Last I looked, there were just shy of 150,000 professionals. I don't care what your question is. I don't care how new to real estate you are. I don't care if you're doing 300 deals a year. If you go in there and ask a question, you're going to get a ton of great people answering. I mean, whatever your question is, you're going to get at least 100, 200 responses at a minimum. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. And I'll tell you, Tristan, one thing, and I've told you this personally, I appreciate about you is in a world filled with stress and not knowing what's going to happen next, you are always so positive. You are always just right on point. And it's funny because I swear I'll see a negative post, and then the next post will be Tristan coming on, kind of guiding the ship in the right direction, in my opinion.
It's an everyday occurrence. So thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
That's great leadership. So you had brought up CRMs. One of my questions was going to be, because you are the guy who knows the answers to all these different technology questions.
Yeah.
What is the best CRM out there right now for
it changes. Right now, what I'm seeing is the best one is Chime is a complete CRM, only because it does one thing that the other ones that we continually test out don't yet. And that's that it has a true artificial intelligence. So the difference between what people say is artificial intelligence versus what it actually is that a lot of those companies out there that say, yeah, we've got AI, it's really just automation.
Yeah.
And they've built out so many different responses that it feels like, whoa, they have the response for everything, but it's still automation versus artificial intelligence is actual machine learning. So it takes into consideration every response that has ever been responded in its system.
Yeah.
And then it says, based on people's responses in this situation, we're going to go with this one because people seem to respond to that one. And that's real AI. And that's a big difference, right? And it continually learns on top of what it's the data that it continually collects.
Yeah.
And that's why Chime right now for us has been, dude, after everything I've tested, seems to be the right one. It has everything else that everything else has.
Yeah.
Right? And it works really well with Ylopo, and Ylopo right now has one of the best Google pay-per-click additions to anything that you want to put out there. So that's why I love that combo. And if you already have Follow Up Boss, there's nothing better than that as a simple CRM, which is just the actual piece of the CRM.
Yes. I love everything you just said there. I do have Follow Up Boss, and I do use Ylopo. Now, the AI with Ylopo, tell me the difference between Chime's AI.
The AI with Ylopo, it's actually structurally who lends out part of their automation part / AI to Ylopo, and then Ylopo has placed above it, layered with it some of its own unique sets of systems on top of that. So it is a combination of AI automation, but it's not fully machine learning. Like it won't go in and be like, hey, you know what? Through Google, because Google has their own AI. It won't be like, hey, here it is. Here's all the data. Now you decide what you're going to say. It's actually people going in and writing the automations and saying, well, based on what we're seeing right here, and this is the AI part, based on this, here's a set of responses that we've created that we feel are great for this situation versus, hey, here's a set of responses from everything. We're going to decide on our own because I'm machine learning, right? That's the difference.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. So I really like that. And you brought up Ylopo. And, there's so many different choices out there right now for lead generation, paid leads. We're either paying in our time or we're paying in our money. But for those who are at the point where they want to pay with their time, what would you say is the best lead gen right now?
If you want to invest in actually doing this your own, I would still say there's one piece that we're missing, and that's truly understanding that our database now is past the idea of it just being in our CRM or in an Excel sheet or even just in our phone. Our database now extends to social media.
Yeah.
And I think we missed that because let's say I'm on Instagram and I have maybe 300 followers on there. Those are all part of my sphere.
Big time.
Right? And we forget that we can touch them in a way that can connect us to them deeper. And it's not just liking what you see on a feed. It's going one step, two steps further in, because now we're thinking, okay, how do people, more importantly, why do people use social media? I mean, I'm going to be truthful to you, Joe. I go on and I post something, if it's outside of Lab Coats. If I post something on my personal one, I want people to like it. I want people to comment, right? I want to feel like I made some form of significance in your life. You like the picture or something. So if we're being real, that's what people want when they post something. And if they're already in our feed, those 300, 400 people, if we go in and we like, and then we comment, and then we take that extra step to message them and make them feel even more significant, we're going to hack the algorithm because they're going to go and check our profile and say, well, first of all, I get a 95% response ratio on that. That's massive, right? So now they're going to respond to me and be like, thanks, Tristan. What are you up to? They're going to go check out my profile.
Yes.
What's Tristan up to? I don't even have to say anything about real estate.
Yep.
They're going to be like, if I'm posting, they're going to be like, oh, he's in real estate. And now I just hacked the algorithm. Now I'm going to show up on their feed, right? And that's the part that we're missing with this whole database part. So if you're thinking, what can I do where it requires time instead of money? Go deeper in social media by being more purposeful in what you're doing.
I love that. And literally coming down here from, I was in the Army and I got out 2 years ago from Washington State, didn't know a soul down here. And I went all in on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram because I wasn't even licensed at that point.
Dude.
And it's been awesome. And it cost me
2 years?
Yeah. July was 2 years. So
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
wow.
It's awesome. Well, I've been lucky. I mean, I have really surrounded myself with some pretty amazing people. And if I can throw a message out there, guys, it's not that tough. None of this is that tough. you just go find the Tristans and the Ricky Caruths and the Tom Ferries, and all these guys are approachable. Just ask them questions. They want to tell you. And I don't know, man, if you just surround yourself with amazing people, the rest just seems to fall together.
Well, you also have to focus. You're also missing one point that you do really well, man. And that's that you focus in on that thing that you want to learn more of, right?
Yeah.
And I think most agents get a little bit scattered because we're thrown so much.
Yeah.
And we don't know what it is that we should focus on. So
Yeah.
it becomes a challenge. You come from a background where they taught you how to focus.
You better. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, that you have that, but most people come in from some weird job, or it's a job, right? They're being told what to do, and they come in here and they're like, well, what do I do? Right. So it's different. But
so I think the statistic, and if it's not accurate, it's pretty dang close, is 87% fail out within 5 years.
That's what I'm hearing, man, which is nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. So looking at that, if I'm a brand new agent and I want to be a part of that 13% that makes it, what are the one or two things that you would suggest a new agent does, or habits they take on, or a mindset they need to take on that would really put them in that 13%?
This is a tough business mentally because it breaks you down so quickly. And if you feel like you're not succeeding, that pattern builds on top of itself, and it makes you feel worse and worse. And I would suggest, if you're there or if you're struggling, I would say join a team, but join a team that's successful, that has a good training process, and possibly has leads as well, because I mean, that's the lifeline, right? That's what we're all looking for.
Yeah.
We're looking for transactions.
Yeah.
And so that would be one thing that I would focus on. Find a team that can help you get to where you want to get to quicker, and work on your mindset daily, because if you don't, nobody else is.
Big time. It's so true. And, you know, when you get out of working at Walmart or McDonald's or whatever it is you're doing, you're the boss. I mean, I tell the guys on my team every single day, I'm here to guide you and nudge you and, you know, tell you what you should be doing. But at the end of the day, you guys are 1099 contractors running your own business. You need to pony up. If something's not happening, you can lean on me, but at some point I need to not be the answer. You need to be the answer. And just, it's tough to get into that mentality, you know?
Yeah, it's tough because we're not used to taking time to actually grow our business. And a lot of us don't know that it takes a lot of effort mentally and emotionally and physically too, man. It's a combination of everything.
Yeah.
And so I always tell agents that they're underestimating the amount of energy it takes. And if you don't have the right mindset emotionally, right, mentally, and then physically, you're probably not going to make it in this business. And if you do make it and you're only focusing on closing and business and more business, you're going to burn out and you're going to hate it. And you're going to do what a lot of those agents do at events. That's just going to go there and drink and party. They're going to blow their money on crap that doesn't matter. And then they're going to end up broke at the end anyway and unhappy. So it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. You're speaking to my heart, because that's my whole focus is just, and it's hard because when you get in, you're so hungry. You have to have cash. You have to have closings. But at some point, you hopefully grow into someone who's focused on giving, and not just giving of money, but giving of your time, giving of your efforts, giving of your knowledge. And I mean, I'm sure you would agree with me. I get so much more out of helping somebody than I do closing on a house, you know?
Yeah. And I think if we can take that the ability to focus on giving and take that to social media. And I know there's a lot of hate around TikTok. It's mixed. But right now, that's the opportunity you have to touch millennials that don't fully understand our world, right? Like, do I really need 20% down? I know for us, it sounds so absurd.
Yeah.
But for those that are barely looking to purchase for the first time, they have no clue what to do. And if you take that approach to a social media outlet that's growing, that's targeting this first-time home buyer demographic, you can really grow with that. And I've seen that. So I think we're just, a lot of us are missing the boat on social media and don't understand its power. But when you Google the most visited websites in the world, you find that 4 out of the 10 are social media. Number one is Google. You got YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, right? Those are all in the top 10. And I think that should put it in perspective as to where you should be focusing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that's a good why behind it. I think that's awesome. Now, with your background in real estate, were you big into luxury?
I wasn't at first, man. I was, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I was exposed to all these amazing homes. But when I first started, I was door knocking and cold calling because I came from a telemarketing background, selling ink cartridges and windows.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
So I was really good on the phone and I loved it. And then I was like, well, why not door knock? Let's go. So that's what I did. And I felt comfortable door knocking around the neighborhood that I grew up in. And that was the median price. And I connected with those people. And for a long time, I thought, I want to break into luxury, but I failed so badly one time. I thought I failed that it delayed my confidence to really try again. And that's why I tell people, look, this whole business is all mindset. Once you break through it, you have no limit. But I limited myself, dude. I was door knocking and I just dropped off a crappy black and white flyer. And it was I didn't even know it was a big home. I dropped it off next to the mailbox because I can't put it in. I learned you couldn't put in stuff in the mailbox.
In the mailbox, but you can stick it between the mailbox and the flag.
Yeah. I learned that one quickly with a lot of calls. No, you can't put that shit in there. I'm like, oh crap. Anyway, this one, black and white. I got a call back from this $4 million listing, saying, hey, we got your flyer and we want to interview you because we're interviewing 4 agents to talk to them about listing our home. I'm like, great. What's the address? I look it up. I'm like, oh crap, 4 million in my head. I had only gone to like 4 listing appointments, all under $1 million.
Yes.
And so I'm preparing. I'm like, I talked to my broker and I think I'm ready. I said, okay, let's do this. I go through the dialogue and the scripting. I suit up, tie, everything. And I get there and I'm like, the house is intimidating, right? It's a massive home. I get there and I see the black and white flyer. It's kind of like, it has water stains everywhere. It's like, crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk to these people. They just called back on a flyer. So I sit down after I see the property and I'm winging this whole thing. Even though I practiced, this is all winging it.
Yes.
I'm sitting there sweating and it's a cold day and I'm sweating in my suit. And then the question pops up. They questioned me. They said, Tristan, this is good, but why are we going to pay you $125,000 in commission? And I didn't have an answer to that. I simply said, because that's the commission, right?
Yeah.
And it was a terrible answer. Obviously, they were questioning my value, right? Yes. And I felt like I failed so bad that I didn't want to come back to that feeling.
Yeah.
So I stopped going for luxury for a long time. And it wasn't until I started going deep into online leads that I approached luxury again. And I was like, let's give this another shot.
Yeah.
And dude, I could have broken into luxury off of a black and white flyer, I got a call.
That's how you do it.
But I delayed it. I think it was like 7 years.
Really?
7 years.
That's interesting.
And,
that's interesting.
And that's why I always tell people it's all in your mind.
Yep.
That's it. Like if I would have failed again and again and again, I would have made more millions by now, which would have been great.
Yes.
But I didn't. And I learned from it. And that's why I tell people it's all in your head.
I love that you said that. One of the big things that I just have sold myself on is the more success you want, the more you've got to fall in love with failure. and just every success comes with 100 failures. So just speed through them, man. One of my big things with the people I work with is just create a B+ plan and move fast, and you'll figure out how to turn it into an A+. But just quit trying to get an A+ off the bat and move. Yeah. And I think right there, right? You had a B+ plan. It was the black and white flyer. It worked, right? It worked.
It did.
But I think that's awesome, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Guys, I've got all of his information. I've got Lab Coat Agents, which I think is probably one of the best, if not the best, real estate websites on Facebook. If you want to get better, if you want to ask questions, if you want to have a community where people can come in and help you with different things, if you've got marketing questions, prospecting questions, man, I can't say enough about anything you want. You go in there, you're going to get a lot of sarcasm. People are going to beat you up.
Yeah, they are.
But listen, that's no different than real life. And out of every sarcastic comment you get, which is good for you and it's humorous for me, you're going to get a really valuable comment that's going to completely change the way you do your business. And it's going to take you 60 seconds to post it on his page. So, Tristan, I sincerely appreciate you coming on. You are incredibly valuable to our entire community. What a great career you've had. And I just want to say personally, I appreciate everything that you do for all of us.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for having me on. And I appreciate you too. And I'm watching what you're doing. So keep on doing that.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Have a good one.